Okay, I'm gonna keep moving. If there are thoughts about, we had discussion the other day about in the healing space, potentially having a part for people of California Native descent to work through issues with specific focus and specific assistance from either folks from the California Native community or from the Native community generally, or from an Indigenous background, to think through how we can all come to the table and trust each other and engage in this work and this dialogue without all the baggage that I mentioned earlier, that, you know, the things that we carry and bring to the table that have us view things with specific lenses, but then also that people view of us because of how we present and their experiences as well. So the example I gave from before is, you know, I come from a tribe, and I say it every time I'm in this room, but the minute I identify myself as a member of that tribe, that gives, you know, a certain, sorry, puts a certain layer on my identity that people are going to perceive, whether or not that's actually part of who I am and how I operate in the world. The schools I went to, the way I talk, the way I dress is all going to have something that people are going to associate based on their experiences and their backgrounds, and the way that they operate in this world. And so we've been thinking about having that specific for the California Native community, because we do want to help us all work together to have greater accountability from the state, specifically, given that the state is at the table and asking how to be accountable. And then also for those accountability partners who are not a part of the community, for them to be able to engage in a way that doesn't take away from the work that Native people are doing, but also amplifies and helps and assists in a way that's respectful. And I apologize, I'm a little thrown. So if folks are also kind of not in a good space, we can end early and we can reconvene at another time too. But Loretta, did you want to say anything?
Well, and just to address that situation, that's the first time that this has happened. Our link is shared on social media, and we do that in order to increase the community participation, but again, open ourselves up to everybody. And so if anyone has feedback on ways that we can, because we have a waiting room, yes, but we have no way to, you know, validate or see who people are. So we kind of just admit everybody. But if you have any ideas or thoughts on how to prevent something like that from happening again, and again, sorry for everyone having to be a part of that, but it also shows to highlight the importance of this work and why we are doing what we are doing.
And that we're trying to be radically transparent here. And so sometimes that means including people that we may not know, but we would want to be over inclusive rather than feel like people are not able to engage in the work. Okay, so I'm going to put, I don't think I ever got to put the questions in the chat. So I'll put them in the chat if people want to think about it. And I'll just kind of read through them. So are there additional resources the council should be building out? So policies, procedures, and processes, like a process for validating who you are on the way into Zoom. Are there emotional health tools and supports you recommend for the community? And so are there things that you have benefited from that you think would be helpful for other California Native people or non-Native people who are seeking to engage in this work and need maybe some baseline education of the things that are okay to talk about, the things that are okay to do, the ways of engaging, you know, as Julie did earlier in asking if it was okay to even engage was a really good practice. And so are there things that you would recommend that we can bring to this table for the community to access? Are there resources you'd like to see on the website, whether it's linking out to existing resources, whether it's, you know, webinars on what is historical trauma and how does it present today? And what can I do personally to check myself if I'm feeling a certain way? What can I do when I'm on Zoom and I'm feeling attacked? What can I do when I'm in real life and feeling like a certain way? And then how should the council modify its work if public health conditions make it difficult to gather in person ongoing? I think from our perspective and from our office, it's our #1 priority, especially with California Native people, to ensure the health and safety of our people, especially when those that are still the most vulnerable are our children and our elders and those that are immunocompromised and have pre-existing conditions. We have disproportionate numbers of those people. And we don't want to be in a space where we're actually making that worse. So we don't want to have the project of truth and healing impact the health of our community in a way that would really impact this work, honestly, if we lose any of our elders or any of our longstanding community members. And then, you know, do we extend timelines? Do we have a hybrid structure? Do we have, you know, meetings still happen in person, but with limited public participation and the like? So just some things to think about. And again, I'm continuing to talk to fill up space, but if folks have thoughts that are not related to these questions, you are very welcome to share with the group any thoughts or reflections.
One thing we're thinking about is being very hopeful that we will be able to meet in person at some point next year. And so if you have, I think we've heard from some folks that I think it was from Redding Rancheria that there is a site where the treaty was signed and the tribe itself does an event there, and we could possibly, you know, tie into an event like that and host our meeting on, you know, those lands. But just an idea, or if we can get any feedback from anybody about potential places, recognizing that oftentimes meeting in a westernized state building is not the best for healing circles. So if you have any input, we would love to hear that, specific places or just ideas in general. Oh, council member, I see your hand is raised. Elliot Santos.
Yes, I just want to say I think it would be great to meet in a special, you know, a place like that in each of the regions. Like you said, instead of a building or some place like that. And so I totally agree with that. And I guess I just want to say that I feel the shock that everyone feels over what happened today, and that no, in all the meetings that I've been on, that has never happened before. But I think that that just goes to show and prove to all of us that what's going on with this Truth and Healing Council is something that's been needed for so long. And it reinforces what I know our people have gone through. And I do want to say thank you for this opportunity for this healing to go on, because what happened just now kind of took my breath away. And I do want to appreciate you ladies for how you handled it. But I think that it shows there is a lot of bad feelings towards us as a people still. And the comments that were made earlier, that yes, there's historical trauma, but there's still trauma going on today. And we were just all a part of that. So thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. We really appreciate it. Additional thoughts, questions, input? And if not, I can also go through the document I have for you today too. It's all great. Thank you, Hillary, for the suggestions. Dee Dee?
Yeah, I think additional resources on the website would be great. It would be really helpful to put things on there. And also maybe once in a while, put some questions, just like you put on there for us now, just something to think about, so that when we come and we do gather, we would have our thoughts ready and have a little bit, maybe that if we had the questions ahead of time, we could take it back to our tribe and discuss it with them, so that we came here, we would have other opinions as well, not just our own, but take it back to our family members and our tribal members and kind of get a feel for what they're thinking ahead of time. And also as to what happened here tonight, you know, I'm not only a tribal chair, but I'm a member of the American Indian Movement. And we get this all the time. We're out there, you know, doing our actions and our protests and trying to stand up for our Native rights. And, you know, we get this all the time, and it's really hard to stay in a spiritual way and stay in a, you know, and have people come up and doing things to you right in your face. We just try to, you know what, we pray for these people. That's all we can do. We don't want to engage physically. We try to stay strong and be better than them and just say our prayers and call on our ancestors for help and just say, you know what, one day our time will come when our prayers will be answered and people will listen. And that's why we're so thankful for this group, for these chances that are given to us, because there has to be a better way out there, you know, than to be engaging like a lot of these protesters are now. You know, there has to be a better way, and we hope that it is coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also, as you were speaking, wanted to just say that I'm very thankful for this group in times like this. You know, I think it's not just tonight. We've all been through a lot over the past several years that have been really jarring, especially to people like us. So I really, Loretta and I work in an office where we're the only Native people. And so in a state where we're probably less than 1% of the Native people working in the state service. So this kind of gathering is really helpful for us to have community in a space where it can be really challenging. So we have about 4 minutes. I do want to be mindful of time, and we will go through the document on Friday for folks that join on Friday. And we will have an opportunity for public comment then for the full council starting at 3 p.m. for those of you that would like to join. And then, as I mentioned, we'll continue to have these monthly listening sessions moving forward. Our hope is that once we can meet in person, we will again reinstate listening sessions throughout the state in person, in addition to having this venue via Zoom, so that people who can't join in person or who have other obligations they need to attend to can also still engage in this space. And so thank you all for just being present at a very strange time, but also we really appreciate all of you. Loretta, did you have something you wanted to?
I just wanted to flag in the chat, there's a link to a Google form, and that you can answer it anonymously. So if you have feedback that you would like the council to consider, please put that in there. We also have our email, which is earlier in the chat, that if at any time you have any comments, please feel free to submit an email to us. And again, I see in the chat, thank you, Councilmember Myers, for suggesting that we have a closing prayer. So if you want to go ahead, and I think that's a good way to end.
I think that's your cue, Councilmember Myers, if you'd like to have a closing prayer for us.
Yeah, I absolutely would. You know, I've enjoyed tonight's conversation for the most part, besides the one piece, but we'll go ahead and let's do a closing prayer here. Walk out one a year. Walk out one a year. God, kick one new man. Or square or chat school saw make get touch for kuna time and a time. Creator, I pray that you watch over us and you guide us, that you continue to hold us and uplift us and protect us. I pray that you watch over each and every one of the people on the call today, that you watch over their families and their communities, wherever they may be. Creator, I pray that you continue to bring healing and strength to our communities, that you continue to guide us and move us in a direction that brings balance back into the world around us, back to our communities, our villages, back to ourselves as individuals, that we continue to pray, that we continue to do ceremonies, that we continue to talk, that we continue what we've always done since time immemorial, what we've been shown to, what we've been taught to. Walk out, walk out, walk. Thank you.
Oh, and Yahweh, Vice Chair Myers, we really appreciate it. And we really appreciate all of you for joining us. Thank you all again. And please take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.